Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm not sure where everyone's located, but my name is Rachel, and I'm here to show you my final project from my full stack bootcamp. My project is an application called Journi. Journi is an application where travelers can store their information for their upcoming trips. I know sometimes I personally myself struggle with leaving everything in my email and having to search for it frantically when I'm on my way to go on my destination. Hopefully, this can be used for myself and other people to sort that out. When you first come, you're going to go ahead and see the options to register or log in. You go ahead and click register. You're going to put in some information. Ignore that. Going to create a username and password. And then once you do so, you'll automatically be registered and logged in. I have both a front end client side set up and a full server in the back. The client is going to be sending APIs to the back and retrieving information and creating data. So when you first arrive, you can either have a home screen, you can have the add trip screen. We're going to add a trip just to show you how it looks. It's always going to require a unique name and a date. Once you add it, it'll populate the home screen with the trip name. And on the right, it'll have the departure date. You can have multiple trips. I'll add a second one. Let's go with Japan. Change the date to a year out and hit create trip. Now it's going to bring you to the home screen again every time you create a trip. Trip name is on the left, trip name is on the right. When you create one, it's automatically going to become the active trip as it assumes that you want to go ahead and work on it. But you can jump between trips with this toggle at the top. And I do want to say, I don't know why, but the screen recorder I am using on Chrome refuses to record the toggler dropdown. I tried working with it a few times. I can't get to show, but you can see that it is toggling, and I promise on my GitHub repository, you will see how it works. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the Disney trip. Now, there's another way to see all the trips by going to your profile. There is a list here. If I go ahead and delete a trip, so let's say delete Japan, it'll be removed from the trip list. And since there's only one trip left, we won't have a toggler since we don't need to toggle anymore. Now let's go ahead and add a hotel for my Disney trip. Here you can see my arrival dates and departure dates do drop down. I did use a library for that. It is the React Date Picker library that I have installed through npm. It has calendars that are up to date, and then it takes the date you pick and it sends it back to you. We're going to Disney, so let's just say Orlando Hilton is going to be our hotel. We'll make up a confirmation number, give it a city, and then I created a way to start detecting what country you might be in when you start typing it. That way you don't have to type the entire country. The reservation's under my name, so I'm going to choose this, and it'll take my account name and add it to the hotel once I save it. And now you can see that in my hotels, you'll have the hotel name, the city country, the arrival date, departure date, confirmation number, and who it was booked by. I did have a challenge with the date picker. It was new for me. It's the first time I've ever used it. Took about a day, but I got it going, so I'm pretty proud of that. I also have added the date picker in some JSON files I found on GitHub under flights. So we go ahead and add a new flight. I'm going to go with a one-way flight to make it easier. Now, the departure city, the airports are populated from a JSON file I found. So if I start typing in the name of the city for the airport and the airport code will both pop up. And then I can go ahead and select those. Unfortunately, I realized that the JSON file used doesn't have every single airport code. So I'm going to go back and find that. I know New York has a couple, for example. I do need to find a more complete list. I have been struggling with that most of the APIs to get those complete lists, they do want to charge you for. And since this is a free app, I went ahead and used a free file. Now I'm going to choose my departure date. I'll put in airline. Let's go Southwest, confirmation number. I'll put in a flight number and a seat assignment. When I hit save, it's going to populate. You're going to see that it is a departure flight. There is no return flight because it's a one-way. You're going to see the departure date. You're going to see where it's leaving from, where it's going to, your airline, and your seat assignment. And all that information is going to be saved to this particular trip. If I went ahead and added a new trip, then it would be saved to there as well. Or it would only be saved to the trip it's attached to. So my project was made up of a full front end, a full back end. I used React Date Picker library to create the calendars. I implemented some JSON files that I found on GitHub for the airport codes and all the countries that I have listed as well. My future plans for it will be to add more information on the side, like dinner reservations or excursion IDs, that people can just have everything all together. I hope you liked my project. I worked pretty hard on it, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. It was very hard for me to connect the front end and the back end. I did have to do quite a bit of digging and research, but I was able to go ahead and get those done through the different tutorials I found in YouTube videos. I'm going to go ahead and log out. I'll get brought back to the beginning. And thank you for looking at my project.